Yeah, happy to have our friends from WonderFi back with us this morning, announcing another deal this morning to acquire Toronto-based Coinberry, a crypto exchange, 38.5 million notional in shares, all share transaction. Very happy to have Ben Samaroo, co-founder and CEO of WonderFi, back on the show to tell us all about this. Growing the company's Web3 user base, I guess here, Ben, you can explain this a little bit more though, to 750,000 registered users now, which is a huge number to say the least. Great to have you as always.
Yeah, great to be here, Brendan.
Tell us about this. What do we take from this news this morning? What does this mean overall as far as the company's efforts or continued efforts to move further in this direction?
So this is a big step for us. We closed the acquisition of BitBuy on March 24th, so just a few weeks ago, and that was the first licensed acquisition of a crypto trading platform in Canada. So definitely precedent setting, also in North America. And this is really the next step in that consolidation. So this, as you said, this brings us almost 1 million users across the WonderFi ecosystem. And we're at over 180 staff across Canada. So I believe we're the largest employer of crypto professionals across the country. And this is a really important step for us to establish ourselves as the leading crypto platform in Canada. And the vision there is basically being able to be relevant globally. So for us to be able to expand into global markets, we need a large Canadian presence. And what you see in the market right now is a fragmentation of all these different players trying to compete with globals in Canada and then in other jurisdictions, which is very difficult given that size. So this creates a lot of economies of scale for WonderFi as we continue this consolidation.
So the deal alone adding 220,000 registered users to the already massive number that we mentioned earlier, and 100 million in assets under custody as of the end of last year, Ben. I think, and you made a good point there in that I think some of the confusion and difficulty that some people from the outside may be having with this space in general is just the massive amount of options there are and so much information out there. Tell us how this acquisition might help to kind of bring people all in to that same place and give them what they need, in a one-stop shop, basically.
That's exactly right. I think one of the biggest complaints that we get from users that access digital assets is that they need to have multiple accounts on multiple sites, platforms, keys, passwords, and managing this becomes a huge issue. It's just like banking. If you have multiple accounts and investment accounts, it becomes unwieldy to manage. And so what we're doing across all of these multiple brands and products is creating unified access. So being able to use single sign-on across BitBuy, Coinberry, WonderFi, and other products that we are launching and going to be rolling into the company. It creates a much more friendly user experience for people. It's more secure. You don't have to be providing personal information, very sensitive information to many different companies and creating a bunch of different exposure points. So it's really bringing everything within this unified umbrella and just creating this compliant access to crypto, which I think is really important for users, because I think the lack of compliance or the risk of feeling like you're dealing with a non-compliant platform, it's keeping users out of the space. And then also for investors, a lot of investors that we talk to, they're interested in crypto, they're maybe invested in miners, and they understand that business model and what that entails, but they're staying out of investing in the picks and shovels, the platforms, exchanges that WonderFi represents. And that's a really important thing, because I think people are worried about investors are worried about price exposure to Bitcoin and that volatility, which you see with miners. But with the picks and shovels, you make money when markets are volatile. And so that's the message that we're trying to get across to investors and to the market, and something that we're trying to create, this clear investment vehicle for the market looking for exposure to that.
And from an investor standpoint, Ben, it's important to mention maybe that, one of the biggest hurdles that continues to be in this space is the security aspect. And as you were saying, giving them the ability to have one login, a safer environment to do these transactions in is massive. And talk a little bit about maybe on the transaction side, what are some of the benefits that investors are going to gain here as far as features that are available and some of the fees maybe.
Yeah, so this basically makes our products more diverse and just a deeper set of functionality that's available to users across the WonderFi ecosystem. So the single sign-on integration that we talked about really is just that the big barrier for people getting in. It's just being able to cross that barrier of getting an account that gives you access to crypto, and then once you've entered that world, now you can access products across BitBuy, Coinberry, WonderFi, and we're really just diversifying that access. And I think that's something that we don't see a lot of companies doing, which is providing access to crypto, DeFi, some of the more high growth areas within digital assets like NFTs and play to earn gaming. And we're really we see all of those as meshing very well together and belonging within the same ecosystem. And that's what we're doing and sort of representing here.
You touched on it briefly earlier. I want to get your thoughts, though, on the regulatory aspect of this, and what does it say maybe going forward as far as the confidence that regulators are willing to, put into transactions like this, and what does that say as far as an investor goes to have that confidence behind them?
I think our closing of the BitBuy acquisition it definitely was precedent setting to get the regulatory approval to acquire a licensed crypto platform. So having moved past that, I think we see that this is going to be a much shorter timeline to approval on the acquisition of Coinberry, which is obviously a positive thing for both companies and for investors as well. And I think more broadly, this means that there is certainty around being able to grow through consolidation within Canada and globally. We're talking to a lot of regulators in different jurisdictions that are looking to Canada as a stable jurisdiction from a regulatory perspective and from a market perspective, and like what BitBuy and the OSC have done with their license in terms of the way that it's structured, and the same with Coinberry. And so a lot of those conversations are other jurisdictions looking to make sure they're keeping up pace with Canada, and then in anticipation of the US issuing licenses, wanting to be there in line and ready to go so that they're not lagging behind. So I think it's really encouraging for regulation kind of across the globe.
More to come. Obviously, an exciting time for the space, an exciting time for the company as well, guys. Check them out, WNDR on the NEO Exchange. Remember, you can find them on FTX as well, WNDR, and the OTC markets. Ben Samaroo, co-founder and CEO of the company. Congratulations, Ben. Another great story for the company itself. We look forward to the next visit.